Hello and welcome to Change Management Made Easy, a video series providing best practice advice for getting change management right. This is brought to you by Change Proud, a change management training and resources platform. In episode 11, we're going to be showing you how to complete a change impact assessment. So what is a change impact assessment? It's essentially an exercise to understand and document the key impacts of the proposed changes. So whatever your change program or project is trying to achieve, this is really going to get into the detail in terms of what's going to be the difference in the future. So what's that gap between the as is and the to be? Who ultimately will be impacted in terms of different stakeholders and populations, and how? And what's the magnitude? So are we talking, really significant changes to how people do their jobs, to the ways of working, significant skills that they need to learn, etc.? Or is it going to be small change that we don't need to have too much of a significant change response to? So your change impact assessment is a really critical step in order to shape your detailed change plan and your detailed change responses. Because until you've done it, you can't fully understand what's going to be required in terms of training, communications, etc. So what does it involve? Essentially, you're going to collect data on all the impacts that you can around what the change program is going to be delivering, and we'll talk about the framework you can use to do that. So really, the data is helping you understand what's going to be the difference between the current and future state. Then you're going to analyze it in terms of whether it's the magnitude of the impact, and then you're going to implement in terms of understanding and identifying what your change response is going to be for these impacts. So what do we really mean by change impacts? So when you're thinking about change impacts, it's useful to think about them in terms of different categories or themes. So the purple boxes here are some useful categories you can use when thinking about the types of changes. So is it change related to processes? Is it change related to org design, meaning teams, structures, roles, etc.? Is it change related to technology, tools, or data? Is it related to behavior change, culture change, mindset, that sort of thing? Is it related to skills and knowledge, or is it related to regulatory and risk? This isn't an exhaustive list. You may find others that list other things, you may find different labels, and that's all okay. But broadly, this is a good way of thinking about the different types or categories of change impact that you're going to want to be analysing for and understanding. The bottom pink boxes here are just another simpler way of talking about change impact. So if you're describing it to other stakeholders, it might be easier rather than listing them all out. You might just say it's broadly about people impacts, process impacts, and technology, because roughly everything can kind of fit within those. Once you're understanding the impacts, the next step, once you put them into each of these categories, the next step would be to rate them. So high, medium, and low. And that basically tells you the order of magnitude of the impact. So if it's high, it's a really significant change, and we're going to need to have a significant change response to help us manage that. For example, an entirely new system, we're going to have to train everyone on it. We're going to have to make sure they're not going back to old ways of working. That could be something that's got really high impact and a significant change response. So this is just to give you an example of some of the types of impacts you'll be looking to understand within each of those areas. So when you're conducting your impact assessment, you want to have questions that relate to each of these areas if you decide to use these kind of buckets of activity. So in process, for example, you're going to be asking people to describe any new processes, any new policies in relation to processes, any standardization that's going to happen. With regards to organisation design, you'd be asking questions about headcount, size of teams, shape of teams, structure, operating model. With regards to skills, you'd be looking at what new skills, capabilities, knowledge are needed, who needs it, at what level. Behaviour change, what kinds of mindset or new cultures and behaviours do we need to adopt? So there's some examples here that you can have a read through if you want to pause the video and have a look. And then obviously, as we said on the other slide, you'd have your magnitude, high, medium and low for each of these buckets. And then ultimately, once you've understood that, this will then inform what change responses you're going to be doing. So what type of training do we need? Do we need it? What type of communications campaign are we going to have to go for here? Do we need change ambassadors, you know, in different operating units or functions, you know, all a host of things. If you look at our video series, you'll find another video that talks much more around the actual aspects of how you're going to then tackle your change impacts in order to make change be adopted and effective. If you found this video helpful, for more easy to use and accessible change management training, resources and templates, please visit ChangeProud. Thank you for watching.